played the King Snake, Robbie played the lead Gumball, and and it sounded like this for every episode. 52 episodes I did this. It was a terrible idea. Yes, hi, my name is Ray Chase. I'm a voice actor. I don't know where to look. All these cameras.
Look at me, look at him.
Okay,
look wherever.
Anyway.
Pick a point on the wall. We don't even mind.
Very cool. It's good to be here.
And do you, just for anybody who doesn't know immediately who you are, God, imagine that's the case. What are some notable roles people who might not be fans of JRPGs may know you're
I'm Noctis in Final Fantasy 15, Roy, Alphonse, Gaius, Fernand in Fire Emblem, Master of Masters in Kingdom Hearts, Artorius, Tales of Berseria, Even Year, all those guys, whatever JRPG you got, I'm in something.
And have you ever been to SakuraCon before?
No, I've been to Seattle many times. My sister lives here, but not here. I really like it. It's a very, very good convention.
And I saw an interview where someone asked you what your favorite Final Fantasies are. I heard it was 5 and 8.
5, 8, Tactics I really like a lot. I even like 10-2 a great deal. I like class-based systems. Being able to switch classes in 5 was super fun. Being able to build your characters in 8 was really cool. And Tactics, of course, yeah. I like those kinds of games.
Other than Tactics, those selections are very polarizing.
Absolutely, yeah.
I remember you mentioned in that interview, Final Fantasy 5, Final Fantasy 8. Fight me.
Fight me.
That killed me. So you love class systems. Was there a particular game that you played first that got you into the class system idea, or?
In Final Fantasy?
Yeah. Sure.
It's an interesting question.
Or what was your first Final Fantasy?
No. I think it's because I think it's because I like Western RPGs too, where you create your own character kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where it came through. That's why I like it a lot. I like choice in games a lot. I don't mind the Japanese style where you're playing through someone else's story. It was interesting. I had a long conversation with Matt Furto, one of the head localizers for 15, about the difference between Japanese and Western game design philosophies, and that in JRPGs you're always third person. It's always third person view. You're never first person playing through the eyes of somebody else.
They're all preset, and you're just
I think it's really interesting that they never go towards the Western mind space of you're always looking through the other person.
And you're always the destined person.
Yeah.
To be first person.
I think it's really interesting. Yeah.
One of the things that I'm just like super obsessed with, Tyler knows, is
D&D.
Yeah.
It's just a blank piece of paper with those words D&D on it.
You know what's funny about this? He wanted to get me to ask this question, but I was already thinking it as soon as you started talking about
make your own character. I was like, well,
yeah.
So have you ever played any D&D, Pathfinder, or anything like that?
Yeah, when I was a kid, I played D&D, but not, we were not sticklers with the rules. It was more about having fun.
Yeah, well, I think that's the most fun way to play it, and I think that one of the things that people overthink with that game, and Gygax and even Wizards try to remind people of, is the rules. You don't need the rules to play that game, and in my opinion, the looser you are with them, the more fun you have. So that's cool to hear. Was there any type of character types that you like? Do you float towards one thing over the other? Like, I always have these certain traits that I end up putting in like every character, despite my own.
Yeah, I could never play a fully evil character. I just can't. But I like playing like rogues, like lawful but neutral guys. I like that a lot.
Well, I'm sure I saw Tyler do a fist pump. That's like his thing. Cool.
Let's see. What is your favorite video game?
Fallout New Vegas.
When was the last time you played it? Do you play it like yearly, or?
Yep.
Do you find yourself gravitating towards people streaming it all the time too? Yep. I know how favorite games go. I mean, I'm not playing. I'm watching other people.
He has a kill everything, a kill nothing. He has a run, a YOLO run. He calls where he doesn't heal at all. and he was able to play through all the game and all the DLCs without healing once, which is insane. It was
glued to that screen, weren't you?
It was harrowing. Yes, oh, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you ever done any acting outside of voice acting?
Tons. Yeah.
What carries over?
It all carries over. You're always the same tool sets that you use for acting, you're using voice acting. With voice acting, it's a lot faster because you never have time to come up with anything. But you are always aware of what the character wants, the objectives and tactics that they use and stuff like that. So you're always using acting experience.
Speaking of Final Fantasy 15, did you ever feel intimidated when you realized you'd be working as a main character for one of the world's largest franchises?
Oh, 100%. No, the callback was terrifying. I went into the room and Yuri Lowenthal is standing there, and you're like, there's no way I have a chance. And Thane Krios is the guy doing the casting, and you're like, this is ridiculous. I don't belong here. And being able to do it was nuts. And being able to hold on to it after being recast was nuts. It was so much that was intimidating about that project in a big way. And I'm amazed that I'm on the other side of it unscathed.
How long did you have to keep silent about being cast as the main character of the upcoming Final Fantasy
2.5
franchise?
years. That was a long time. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Were there times you screamed in your pillow?
Oh, all the time. Well, being recast after Dusk Sky was nuts, where you're like, well, and now I won't even be able to say that I was in the demo. But being able to do it eventually in the full game was insane.
How do you manage that kind of, oh my God, I just got like this dream role, I can't tell anyone. How do you?
It's really tough, and it was really tough, is all I have to say.
Did you tell Milo? Was that like your
outpouring? I would tell, and Robbie and Max knew, like my close friends knew. Well, Robbie obviously because it was Prompto. But yeah, that was all I could say, and to my parents, but they don't really know.
Yeah, he mentioned Milo. That's a dog that you rescued. What made you decide to adopt a dog?
That was always in the cards for me. I grew up with rescues, and my mom volunteers at Lead Animal Shelter in Las Vegas. So we had rescues and fosters in our house all the time. That was always I can't not have a dog.
Okay.
And we just got another one too, Stella. So they're together now.
Awesome.
What kind of dog is Stella?
She is a rescue from Korea and from the dog meat trade. So she's very badly abused. She needs a lot of help and kindness to get her through a tough time. She's some sort of Korean Jindo-ish mix.
So we were talking earlier before the interview, or maybe it was someone that went before us. I heard that you did some voice work for Fox Sports 1. Are you a fan of any sports? Like, are there any teams that you like?
I was really into baseball when I was a kid, like really into baseball. I just read about it all the time. I collected baseball cards. I'd play baseball, Little League, really into it. And then once I got into high school, it stopped immediately.
Yeah.
I've never gotten into a single other sport since then. But 90s baseball was my fucking jam, man.
90s baseball was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was a good time.
I think that happened to everyone, from our generation.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite Nier Automata character, and if so, why?
That's a good question. I really liked Emil a lot with his song that would play, and then you go underground and do all this stuff. I would have to say Emil. It's got to be my favorite character. I mean, he's the mascot. He's great.
What about in Tales of Berseria? Other than Artorius, perhaps.
I haven't played Tales, so I don't have an answer for that, unfortunately.
Well, on that line, what is it like whenever you played a game or watched a show that you were part of, that you did a voice, and when you hear your voice come on the TV, be it with family or friends or just on your own, what is that like?
It's fun because you forget a lot of it, so you don't have really memory of these specific lines, but you do have memories of, not knowing how it's going to be used, because most of the time you're kept in the dark.
You weren't there for that.
What's it? Yeah, and you don't know what the character looks like, or you don't know what the setting looks like, and it's cool to say, oh, this is where this all took place, or oh, I know there's a part coming up where somebody dies. Well, I wonder what that's going to look like, and it's fun to rediscover it.
So I understand that you did some voice work as Peri Peri Prisoner from One Punch Man, which is just like a really wild character. What was your experience voicing him?
Well, he was one that I really wanted even before the audition process began, and I sent in a custom audition saying, like, if you were casting, when you cast it, please consider me. And then eventually, when it came time to really audition, I got to audition, and he was so much fun. A difficult thing is he's right next to Deep Sea King for his first episode, and they're both big, deep voiced, flamboyant guys with hearts on their chest. And me and Keith Silverstein kept butting up into each other like, oh, we're doing the same voice, and it's hard to differentiate them. So going back and making sure that we were all different was a challenge.
Interesting.
Do you have a favorite funny memory from Final Fantasy 15, just working on the project?
I remember Adam Crosdell, who plays Ignis, met my dog Milo, who was in with me on all the sessions, and Milo has a mohawk, and Adam said, oh, he's got a mojito. It was so funny.
That's awesome. So here's a little bit of a curveball for you. If you had to physically fight a character you voiced in real life, who would you pick? Would you go for someone that you had no chance against to like go out with a bang, or is there someone you can think of that you maybe have a
push
chance
over?
Yeah, man, I play a lot of very dangerous people. Dang it, Alphonse. Yes, absolutely.
There you go.
Alphonse, I could beat, absolutely. He may be tier 5. I'm at least tier 4.5. So
nice.
You got a chance.
Yeah.
Do you have, I mean, you've already done like a mainline Final Fantasy character. You've done a main Tales villain. What's your dream voice role, though, that you haven't done yet?
I'd love to work with Naughty Dog doing motion capture. I mean, that would be super, super fun, those opportunities.
Uncharted 5, huh?
Yeah, well,
or Last of Us 2
yeah. It would be really cool to work on a game like that, where you're really fully developing a character from start to finish. I got to do that with 15, but no other game. It's very rare
with that depth and breadth. Yeah.
Well, for a game to let you play an arc all the way through, and give you information and all that sort of stuff, and I'm sure Naughty Dog does that every day, and it would be really cool to get one of those games.
Yeah, I know he had mentioned in the Final Fantasy fandom, you guys were talking a little bit earlier about how big some of those roles are, and One Punch Man is something that I know a lot of people love. Piccolo from Dragon Ball Super. I imagine there's some kind of weight when there's so much gravity to these characters. What does that feel like, and how do you handle it?
It's always a collaboration between us and the director or the client on the other side of the glass, and it depends on what they're looking for. Because we also don't really know how big some of these things are. One Punch Man, you're coming into a Final Fantasy a lot. But there were some games like Nier Automata, you didn't know if it was going to be a good game or not.
Up.
Yeah, exactly. I remember doing Fire Emblem Heroes and what is this? Some sort of crazy mobile Fire Emblem game? Well, I don't know if this is even going to be considered canon. It was you're never sure. You're never sure. It's the other person how deeply they feel about it, and you can read them. It's about So for Final Fantasy, being able to talk with the director and the lead localizing writer Dan Inoue was there every single session, and being able to get as much information as you wanted about the character. That's how you know that it's going to be a big deal, and you can really put yourself in. The weightier, the better, for sure.
Cool. On that line, how do you bring more physicality to the deep characters, the more active ones? Perhaps the fighters, if you will, that you've done.
You just always have to be aware. Don't let your hands cross your face.
Don't hit the mic.
And don't hit the mic, which I've done many times.
Uh-oh.
And you kind of learn how to flail and do stuff, but out to the sides instead of forward.
Ruben Langdon, who voices Ken Master and Dante in Devil May Cry, said that he would loop his fingers in his belt loops. So that the arms would never come up.
That's
and
a really good idea, yeah.
From the torso.
Yeah.
Which was always kind of funny when I heard about that.
Yeah.
Do you have anything like that?
I put my hands in my pockets for sure, or if you have to play someone getting strangled or put tension in, I'll cross my arms like this and struggle like that. It's about as best you can do.
What's the most unusual thing you've ever done for a voice acting role? To like, I think I heard earlier that you were like, you had like water.
Yeah, I
pouring in your
aspirated
mouth
water
and stuff.
for Final Fantasy 15 for poison damage. But the weirdest thing was for a show that we translated from English to English, Australian English to American English, Botter, Snikes, and Gumballs, where I played the King Snike, Robbie played the lead Gumball, and and it sounded like this. For every episode, 52 episodes, I did this. It was a terrible idea. Terrible idea. Never
You
again.
didn't get sick or
That's
anything. did you?
commitment.
That sounds
It was. I could
pleasant.
only do 2-hour sessions. I couldn't do more than 2 hours.
man.
It would get crazy.
If you weren't a voice actor, what would you be doing for a living? What would you do?
I write music. I've done that for many years and took classes in college. It'd be super fun. I probably couldn't, not well enough to monetize it for sure. I liked bartending. I did mixology back in the day before I became a voice actor, and I really enjoyed that life. It was fun to make craft cocktails. Really fun.
Do you have a signature cocktail or drink you've? of
I
your own?
love Negroni's my favorite cocktail. Campari, sweet vermouth, and gin. I love that one.
Do you have
Red
anything that
orange
you've
peel.
invented?
Oh yeah, no. When we would come up with stuff all the time. We were encouraged to at the bar. I don't think I ever dubbed anything. It was always just like on the fly. You'd come up with. You see what your ingredients are.
Like a mad
Yeah,
scientist.
Exactly. Yeah, and that was super
Love it.
fun.
What's your go-to drink?
A Negroni for sure. Yeah. If they have Campari, if they don't, I'll do a gin and tonic.
Yeah. That's kind of just like the one that you can get at any place you go.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool.
I've noticed that most of your video game roles are mainly JRPGs. Do you have any favorite JRPGs besides? I know we've mentioned some Final Fantasies, but beyond those?
Oh, yeah. I'm blinking for a second.
Oh, take
I'm
your
thinking
time.
about because it's weird because there's a lot of games that like don't have voices or stuff. Like one of my favorites as a kid was Advance Wars, which is kind of a JRPG in its own right, with
SRPG,
Andy as
yeah.
your protagonist. But that was like I spent many playthroughs doing that game. I loved that game, or that series rather. I guess you could say Saga, because I played Final Fantasy Legends 1, 2, and 3, and Final Fantasy Adventure, which aren't Final Fantasy games, unfortunately.
Adventure, like Sword of Mana or something?
Yeah, Sword of Mana.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's weird stuff like that. Branded as Final Fantasy that isn't Final Fantasy, and of course Mario and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I played. I didn't get into RPGs until I was a little bit older.
Junior high?
Yeah, junior high. Yeah. And my first one was Final Fantasy Legends 1, which was a really bizarre one to start with because it's a. Have you guys ever played it?
I don't know. Is that the one that was just in America?
No,
it's not that
no.
one.
You're in a tower. It's just super. It's really dark and quiet. It's a very quiet game. Wow, the characters talk. It's the tone is so weird, and that was my first time. I was like, oh my god, I choose characters and I get to name them and level them, and they had an interesting little system. I like those games a lot.
Outside of the worlds that the characters you voiced are from, are there any movies or shows that you watch personally and like? I mean, I'm sure there are. And do you draw any inspiration for what you do from those outside sources?
Mm-hmm. I love Nick Kroll. I think what he does with voices, with making him so dirty and sloppy, I think is super fun. So I love anytime I get to do an animation character, I draw a lot of inspiration from him or Justin Roiland. That sort of that really sloppy acting is really fun. I think it's really funny.
Yeah, that kind of like improvisational
Exactly,
style. Yeah.
If you could voice any famous fictional character, who would it be? This doesn't have to be video games, books, or...
It's my sister, I think.
No worries, it's all
Oh,
good.
no, it's not. It's Julia. Hi, Julia. You're now a guest on an interview.
Can I ask her a question?
She's very excited. Could you call back in a few minutes? Okay, I'll see you in a bit. Bye.
I'm just glad it wasn't my phone. Tyler wouldn't have forgiven me, probably.
Oh no. So again, if you could voice any famous fictional character, be it video game, book, movie, anything, who would it be?
It'd be fun to do Jrpgs from Les Miserables. That'd be super fun. Do a French, deep, sour guy. Really fun.
Strong, surly convictions.
Exactly, yeah.
That's a good one. That's pretty good. So of those Final Fantasy games you mentioned, rank your top 3.
Top 3, I guess. I do like 15 a lot. It's interesting. A lot of people don't think of it as, oh yeah, we're going to rank it now because it's so new still.
Yeah. I don't consider it part of the ranking yet.
Exactly. Yeah, it's tough. So I'd say Tactics, 15, and 5.
I'm playing 5 right now on that.
On your PC.
I've just got the first set of crystal
It's
drops.
the Surface.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
But it has Steam. I just got the first crystal, so I'm going through making my party dynamics.
It's fun.
Tactics though, great.
Yeah, it's a great game.
Probably needs another port. I don't know, 2 ports, 3.
Yeah.
I'd be happy with that. Do you have any more questions?
No, I think we're good.
Oh, I do have one more. This one comes from Eric Wynn. He asks, what intrigued you about the Noctis role in Final Fantasy 15?
I like that we were telling his whole story from start to end. Being able to play him as a 20-year-old and as a 30-year-old and see the change in his character. I thought the arc was a really fun thing to play. And we did all of his lines in order, which was really cool to be able to not have to worry about, oh, what part of the story is this? It was, no, we're on a journey together, and that was super fun.
What was it like once you were announced and people started playing and you started getting all this fan attention, just the wave of all that? Wow, everyone knows I played the main character of a Final Fantasy game.
It's weird. You don't see a lot of it. You I guess if you search your name, then you see like, oh my god, all these people are talking, but you don't get a whole lot of it. I think it was when we started streaming the game that suddenly people were like, oh yeah, there's voice actors who play, and that was super fun. So it was once we started, when we got Ignis on for that one stream for Loud Annoying, it was suddenly like, oh yeah, there's people behind these characters. I thought that was fun.
And then finally, last question, is there anything you'd like to say to your fans who couldn't make it out here this weekend?
Who couldn't make it out here this weekend, I will see you next year because they're definitely going to invite me. Please make sure they invite me for next year.
Fingers crossed. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
Yeah,
Cheers.
thank you.
Hey, nice to meet you.